Hello and welcome to another episode of Live in Conversation with Mast Qalandar Travels. फ्रेंड्स आज हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं धवल नायक जो कि एक यूएस बेस्ड डेटा साइंटिस्ट हैं और साथ ही एक प्रोफेशनल माउंटेनियर भी। अब हमने माउंटेनियर को इसलिए इनवाइट किया है क्योंकि आजकल माउंटेनियरिंग के प्रति थोड़ा इंटरेस्ट लोगों में बढ़ता जा रहा है, लेकिन फिर भी देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन गैप क्योंकि माउंटेनियरिंग एक नॉर्मल ट्रैवलिंग की तरह नहीं है कि आप बस अपने बैग्स पैक करें और डेस्टिनेशन चूज करें और वहां पहुंच जाएं। इसके लिए काफी प्रिपरेशन की जरूरत होती है एंड देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स दैट वन नीड्स टू टेक केयर ऑफ बिफोर दे कैन एक्चुअली स्टार्ट माउंटेनियरिंग। 14 पीक्स जैसे नेटफ्लिक्स सीरीज को देखकर भी लोगों में इसके लिए इंटरेस्ट जागा है, तो हमने सोचा कि वन ऑफ माय फ्रेंड्स ही इज अ प्रोफेशनल, तो उनको इनवाइट किया जाए और उनके साथ कुछ बेसिक्स ऑफ माउंटेनियरिंग के बारे में जाना जाए। सो वेलकम धवल, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर गिविंग अस योर प्रेशियस टाइम। धवल क्योंकि यूएस में बेस्ड है इसलिए आज हमें सवेरे लाइव इन कॉन्वर्जेशन का करना पड़ रहा है सेशन। तो थैंक्स फॉर बीइंग अप फॉर अस सो लेट एट नाइट धवल। वेलकम टू मस्त कलंदर ट्रैवल्स।
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. पहली बार मैं ऐसा कुछ कर रहा हूँ. So, like, really, thanks for having me. And thanks for changing your time. Like, your usual time is evening and now it's morning. And it's
No,
I
we
mean, I'm
once
really
had
glad that you're
another
changing.
person from the US. उनके लिए भी हमने किया था. I've kind of made it like a practice कि कोई
अच्छा.
we have to adjust according to the time zone of the guest as well.
Person.
So
Right,
not a
right, right.
problem for us at all. Thanks.
Yeah.
So Dhaval, let's begin with a very simple question. Give us an
Mhm.
overview about mountaineering as a niche and how it differs from general travel.
So, mountaineering is basically climbing mountains, right? Now, in mountains, you're faced with different terrains. There is, for a lot of part, there's rock and mud that you walk on. Then there is ice and snow. So, basically, anything that comes in your way, you train yourself to climb those terrains. So it's like a mixed use thing. So you have a lot of rock climbing. People learn rock climbing. People do like snow climbs, but this is like a combination of everything. So. Uh, Basically वही है चढ़ना है there's a peak you want to get to the top and that's all it is in a sense, right? It's not very different than that कि वहां पे दिख रहा है ऊपर है वहां जाना है and that's what it is. So that's how it's a little different. It takes I mean I would say traveling. उसके बाद आता है trekking जो where you can walk. Usually it's not as technical. You can walk around. There are trails. There are proper marked trails होती हैं. You go on that and then when you leave the trail and actually go on the mountain, that's where mountaineering begins basically. So
All right. So tell us, how did you get initiated into mountaineering and how you continue to, fuel this passion for mountaineering throughout your childhood and into adulthood?
yeah, actually, I did not get into it that early. So, I mean, while I was in school and college, I used to like to trek and hike quite a bit. I grew up in Delhi and Bangalore. So Delhi, I mean, Delhi of course had the Himalayas nearby, but I was too young then. And then Bangalore has good mountains, small mountains around the city and in Karnataka. And then I went to Manipal for my undergrad, where actually like there are a lot of it's in the Western Ghats basically. So I had quite a bit of opportunity to do that. And I mean, it also comes a bit from the family. My uncle is also into this. He's been into this. They live in Maharashtra in Pune, and that also has a lot of like mountains around. So growing up, गर्मी की छुट्टियां वहीं होती थी. I used to go there, and he used to take me. So that's kind of the initial initiation, I guess, into mountains and adventure of this sort. तो वहाँ पे किया, and then later college होने के बाद I was like, okay, I'm good at this. I like this. What is the next step? And next step was mountaineering. So that's when I essentially got in to mountaineering, and I looked at like beyond trails basically. I started looking at.
All right, great. So far आपने कितने mountains climb किए हैं और कितने countries में, क्योंकि I think your experience is quite international, right?
I mean, I mean, initially I was in India for a good 8 years, so I made it a point to do a big, good Himalayan climb every year while I was there. So 8 summers, and of course I went off season as well. I've been in the US for the last 7 years now. So 7 साल में first 2 3 years not as much in school and stuff. but I've tried to get back into it over the last 3 4 years. So I've done that. I've also visited Central and South America, where I've done a little bit of climbing. So it's been along this. I have not yet climbed in Europe or Africa, so that is still on my list.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. काफी आपका varied experience है. That's great. So, having climbed in South Asia and America, what do you think? What is the difference that you've noticed in the nature of the mountains and the mountaineering culture in general?
So, I mean, Himalayas are Himalayas, right? There is absolutely no comparison. Like, it's the tallest mountain range. Uh, I mean, here in the US, the highest peaks you climb are 15,000 feet, somewhere there. And in the Himalayas, your big mountain climbs start from 15,000 feet. Like, actually drive up,
Hmm.
or road head is 15,000 feet, and then you go up. So it's a whole different world. The high altitude effect that has on your body and everything is pretty different. The skills are the same essentially. I mean, the skills that you need to climb on rock and ice and snow is essentially the same. So that way it's similar. India may, I mean, there are two aspects to it actually. In India, it's still not as established, so it's a lot more wilderness. So you actually get to experience nature a lot more closely there, because there are no road heads, right? You go हिमाचल में कितना हिमाचल है उत्तराखंड में, go as high as you can, like on the road, and you're still like 10 12 days walk away from like the nearest Himalayan peaks. It's that much you have to do where there's nothing. So infrastructure nahi hai, but that actually adds to the allure of it. And as a mountaineer, that's what you're looking for. Yahan pe it's a little bit more established. There are roadheads. There is a lot of, there are people doing it. There are guiding companies and all of that. So उस हिसाब से थोड़ा ज़्यादा commercialized है यहाँ पे. But I mean, of course, US is vast, so there are a lot of peaks. So it's you still get it, but Himalayas are Himalayas, I would say. So that's the difference.
So you think that the whole mountaineering culture is very well established in the West as compared to how it is here, even though we have these traditional, the whole Sherpa thing here in Nepal and all, but still it's
So Nepal mein, yeah. So Nepal is in fact is the destination for like mountaineers around the world to congregate, and really, that has the highest peaks, right? The highest peaks
it's
in the
like the
Himalayas are
mecca
there.
for climbers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Okay.
नेपाल है वैसा. इंडिया में अभी it's upcoming. It's not as much, and unfortunately, a lot of our big mountains are near the border or in the disputed areas where it's like it's not safe to go. Army के control में है, and also
हाँ
that
जी.
that makes it a little complicated. But yeah, we still have a lot. I mean, Himalayas are big, but we still have a lot of very high peaks which are accessible very much by common man. So
Right. So,
yeah,
so to speak, we are in the epicenter of mountaineering, ek tarah se. So,
absolutely.
what is the scope of it in India, and why do you think it is still not so common among Indians, mountaineering, even though we have really big names like, Bachendri Pal and these people, like still, इतना ज़्यादा क्यों common नहीं है इंडिया में?
इट्स अपने कल्चर में उतना आउटडोर नहीं होता है, राइट? सिटीज वी ग्रो अप इन, देयर इज नॉट एज मच आउटडोर. आई मीन दैट्स वन बिग डिफरेंस आई सी हियर वर्सेस इन इंडिया. यहाँ पे भी आई बीन 7 years. बच्चे एकदम शुरुआत में ही दे आर टेकन आउट, लाइक छोटे छोटे
हाँ.
बच्चे होते हैं, साल भर के भी नहीं होते, तो भी पीपल लाइक carry them or take them on hikes and stuff. So that initiation with nature is pretty early here, and that's why I think a lot of people get into it, or they are attracted to it. अपने यहाँ पे उतनी opportunity नहीं थी, at least growing up. There was not so much, though there are so many mountains around, and now of course things are changing and stuff. But that's the basic difference, I think. But I think we're doing well, and we are getting there. We have a whole new crop of youngsters who are into it quite a lot, and I think it's getting better for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So, as a beginner, what does one need to need to start with? When they've just started developing interest towards mountaineering. So, what do they need to know upfront? कि ये what are they getting into?
तो दो चीजें हैं, लाइक पहले तो आई मीन यू शुड हैव a little bit of interest in it, like तुम ट्रेकिंग करते हो and all, and I mean वहाँ पता चलता है, you get a sense of okay, yeah, I like this, I want to do more of this stuff, like that. And then you go challenge yourself to do longer, bigger treks, climb higher, and then once you're there, then you realize that okay, ठीक है, trekking can only take me to this this place, and to go anything beyond, I need mountaineering. And that's how you actually get into mountaineering. So you're coming from a place of already knowing the mountains. And even as a mountaineer right now, if I'm, for example, climbing a big peak in the Himalayas, I still have to trek to the base of that peak, which is the most part of my itinerary actually. So if I'm there for 12 days, 8 days I will spend in just getting to the base, trekking.
Hmm.
So trekking is still a big part of mountaineering, and you have to first get there to be able to climb. So I think that's where you start, and interest aa raha hai, thoda acha lag raha hai, you like mountains, in general scenery, you feel that you're good at it, you have, like, you're fit and all of that, then you can slowly move to mountaineering.
And the hardship aspect of it, what does one need to know pehle se hi before,
uh
getting
yeah, I
into
mean,
that?
physically of course it's hard, but I think a lot of it is mental, right? Like we have, I mean, थोड़ा सा misconception होता है कभी कभी कि all the mountaineers, or people who climb Everest and big peaks are all like, okay, I have a goal, I have the peak, and I want to go there, right? That, I mean, come what may, I will put in my everything and go there. But that's not it, right? That is actually probably a wrong attitude to have in mountaineering. It's a lot of it is about knowing how much you can go, knowing when to turn back, being able to read, atmosphere, weather, because all of these are big factors, and they're life and death when you're on a mountain. There, nobody's going to
Yeah.
come and get you. So it's a lot. I mean, mountaineers, they say mountaineers are made, in unsuccessful attempts. Like they have to attempt a peak and they're not able to, they come back. That's when you learn the most, versus like going all the way up and coming. That's fine, but you need to know that. So it's a lot about that. It's a lot about leadership skills, I would say. You're always
Hmm.
going in a big team, not big team, but you're always going in a team, and you have a certain like role in the team, right? If you're a team
Right.
leader, you are responsible for everybody. So all of that has to play in your head, and it's a very, मतलब ऐसे लगता, मतलब perception है कि भाई adrenaline filled sport है and all of that. Yes, like that all is there, but at the end of the day you have to have like a very, you have to be stable mentally, and you have to know what you're doing, experience, and all of these things matter. And you should I mean, the most important thing is you should know when to turn back. You're not going to make
Yeah,
it, you're not going to
because
make it, you
it's
know.
a life and death wala matter
Absolutely.
hai isme, and one has to really be aware ki what they are getting into, right? So at
Absolutely,
this
yeah.
point, I would request our audience, if you all have, we are now getting into some of the technical aspects and some of the informative aspects of mountaineering. So if our audience has any questions, please do type them in the comment box, and I will take them up during our discussion. Please feel free to ask your questions. So, Dhawal, how important is training for mountaineering?
Training is pretty important. You have to be strong. You have to, I mean, in all senses, right? Legs, arms, you use every part of your body basically on a mountain. Like you're not just walking, it's not trekking. You have to use your hands. You have to, like, everything has to be there, plus cardio and everything. So it's like a overall, it just tones your whole body basically, right? So you have to be really fit. Fitness is of course very important, and you have to keep doing, you have to have a fit lifestyle basically. Like, I mean, yes, you have to train for big mountains, but in general you have to have a active and a fit lifestyle. That helps, you build strength and stamina and all of that. So sports, swimming, and all of these things really help it. So fitness is pretty important.
Right. And like there are so many groups that take, uninitiated people for treks, very difficult,
Hmm.
fairly difficult treks these days.
Yes.
So do we have such facilities for climbing peaks as well? And for people who are these days, you know how it is, it's a world of convenience. सबको को लगता है कि हम बस पे कर देंगे तो हम ये काम कर सकते हैं. So do you think that is possible in mountaineering, and what do you recommend about this?
I mean, that is there. That's the reality.
अच्छा
Unfortunately,
है ऐसे
climbing,
माउंटेनियरिंग में भी है.
as much as trekking companies are a business, mountaineering companies are also, out there to make money. And it's not as much because abhi bhi niche hai kafi. It's not as prevalent, but it's still like the whole thing. I mean, there are quite a few documentaries on Everest and all of that, and you hear news of, Everest mein traffic jam ho gaya hai, and people are like
हाँ.
lined up and stuff like that. So all of that happens. Unfortunately, पूरा नेपाल का जो शेरपा कम्युनिटी है उनका लाइवलीहुड इज बेसिकली एवरेस्ट क्लाइम्स और एनी ऑफ द बिग क्लाइम्स, राइट? सो
Hmm.
it's a balance between basically कि कितना, how much should you push versus making money. And yeah, sometimes some lever goes up, some lever goes down, the accidents happen and stuff like that. But personally I would say, yes, I mean it takes money. It will be very clear. You have to climb Everest, you have to, it takes a lot of money. Like you have to actually save for decades to be able to, afford even going there with a guide or whatever it is, right? You need a guide there, so you need all of that. So it does take money, but it's just not that. It's not like if you have money, yes, you can go and climb Everest, right?
Ah.
You need to build yourself, you need to do smaller peaks, you need to be used to high altitude, because I mean at that height oxygen is one third of what oxygen we have at sea level, right? So your body is getting a lot lesser oxygen, and all of that takes training to get used to how your body responds, how you respond to lesser oxygen and all of that. So all of those things, experience, it takes decades and decades, I would say, to be able to get to that level where you can climb these 8,000-meter peaks out there in the world. So
Yeah, yeah. So you won't recommend anyone to go out there, doing mountaineering without any proper training.
of course, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a no-brainer. Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
there is a business out there which people do, but yeah, I mean, that's, you won't even enjoy it that way.
Exactly, you'll fall
it's
sick, no? I think
yeah, it's
the
like it's
Sherpa
you
will
put in
probably just have to
years.
carry you and
Yeah,
make you
yeah.
touch the peak and come
हाँ,
back.
वो
उसमें क्या
लिटरली
है?
वही होता है। तो एवरेस्ट पे
हाँ,
वही है, दे हैव फिक्स्ड रोप्स। सो बिगिनिंग ऑफ द सीजन द शेरपास climb up, they fix ropes on like tricky sections. So basically
yeah,
mountaineers who come after that just put their I mean they just clamp to the rope and they climb up basically. So they are not actually doing it, it's the Sherpas. And unfortunately Sherpas are the ones who suffer as well. Like वो लगाते वक्त there are accidents every year. You hear of a lot of Sherpa teams like falling from a mountain or dying while
yeah,
putting those reps or taking off those
yeah.
reps. So there's a big human cost to it, and it's a whole different thing, I guess, in Nepal. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, to keep it simple, yes, you need to. It's better you train, and it takes a lot of, like, it takes more experience. It's not just about physical
Hmm.
training. You get gym jao, you build strength, stamina. That's great, but you need that experience. You need to have done a few peaks of that magnitude and led teams, and that's when you will
हाँ.
actually get to the point where you can
So
do
one of our audience, Bharat, is asking,
that. Mm-hmm.
what do you do for enhancing your mental strength? As you said, ठीक है, physical तो कर लेते हैं, but mental के लिए how what's the mental training
So,
required?
I mean, it is. I don't specifically do anything for that, but I mean, I what I try to do at my level is I try to lead people up a mountain. That actually teaches you a lot. When you are tum ja rahe ho, you're responsible for yourself. It's fine, like you will even do it. But when you're
Hmm.
responsible for three other lives who you're
Yeah.
taking up, you will be like more careful, and you will know exactly your limits and all of that. So it's a lot about testing your own limits, honestly. I mean, I'll talk at an individual level. A lot is about testing your own limits, right? A lot of times we are physically capable of doing things. It's just mentally we tire somewhere, or we are like nahi hoga ye, ya fir all of those things. So
Hmm.
you go push yourself every time you do something, push yourself to the next higher step, and see how you're able to take it mentally. Kaisa karte, like if you're able to be positive and all of that. Also, another thing which is related to this is, as I was talking about oxygen, right? So at an altitude when there is less oxygen, your in general your responses as well as your brain, everything basically shuts down, right? Like it tries to shut down because you have less oxygen in your blood. Everything is sort of slower, and you're not able to respond as quickly. You're not able to think on your feet as quickly. चिड़ मचती है एक उस altitude पे when you're trying to make decisions and thinking, ज़्यादा चिड़
अच्छा.
मचती है. So you and that happens. It's not like to you, or that's going to happen to everybody who's going on an
Hmm.
altitude. So you have to be in that situation and experience some difficult decisions ki वापस आना है. There are other people involved, so all of those, there's no place for egos and all of that on the mountain, right? Like you're on a mountain, you're a team, and you have to be as a team. There's no place for yourself individual there. It's your
Right.
team, and you have to always be thinking of that. So you do these things with experience. I think the mental strength really comes up. I mean, I'm sure there are other ways, meditation vagera, which I personally haven't tried, but yeah, I mean those things, people do that as well, so that helps.
All right, all right. And when it comes to the physical training, what is the nature of these training modules? And like, what does a day, typical day during training looks like? What are the activities undertaken?
तो ट्रेनिंग कर रहे हो, सपोज आई मीन यू हैव essentially you have a target climb in mind. Suppose 6 महीना बाद I want to climb such a peak, right? So you have to slowly get there. So धीरे you choose certain practice areas where you will get that training. So suppose वो peak में going there's going to be snow and there's going to be ice. So you typically take snow and ice training. So they're two different things, right? Ice is hard ice like glaciers, and snow is like fresh snow, soft snow, right? So they're two very different beasts, and you'll encounter probably both of them when you go on a mountain. So you need to have the right equipment. You need to have done enough of those kind of climbs. You need to know safety in terms of like arresting. So if you have a fall, what are you going to do? Because I mean, it's common that you fall while going up snow or ice, right? So
Hmm.
you need to be able to train in exactly how what you should do. There are arresting techniques they are called. So you have an ice axe. You like there's a certain way you dig into the snow around you if you're falling, and a certain procedure of things to do. So all of those, that training is the important है, and then you need to practice enough. So even now, like when we go out there, आसपास जहाँ पे स्नो होता है, तो we particularly like practice falls, that you go up there this steep slope and fall on purpose and then try to arrest yourself. So all of these sort of things you have to keep doing, and that's when you learn and get better. अब there's a lot of it's become much easier because मतलब YouTube पे इतने सारे videos हैं अभी which teaches you all of these things, like कैसे करना है क्या करना है, so you can literally look at it and then practice yourself. So all of that has become a little easier. Back when I got into mountaineering, it wasn't so easy. So I mean I did a course and everything for that. So yeah, but basically all of these things you have to train for, and you have to practice. A lot of it is practice. Those scenarios which you might end up in, first
Hmm.
go through that scenario, be in that scenario, and try to, like, there's theory, right? You learn theory, you go to a
Right.
scenario, apply it practically, see how you're doing, get better at it, and then go. That is the usual procedure.
Right, we have a lot of audience questions, so I'd
Mhm.
request the audience to please stick around. We'll take these up a little later, but first, as we were talking about training,
Mhm.
and you just shared that you learned this from an institute. So,
Mhm.
what are the institutes where mountaineering training is provided in India, and how does one get admission in these facilities? And also, if you can share with us the fees or the
Mhm.
approximate fees and the time required for these kinds of trainings.
Yeah, that's actually a hidden gem in India, right? Like abhi yahan aake I realized that all of these mountaineering related technical training and everything is really expensive. Like it's not cheap. In India, we have like five really good government subsidized institutes which are out there, which conduct a lot of training on the mountain and in various disciplines, like various things, even not just mountaineering, even stuff like skiing and other things as well. They do that, and it's pretty cheap. Like I mean, for somebody living in cities in India, it is not expensive at all. So and they're really good. Like some of them are really good. I mean, a lot of them take their staff is actually from the army. So army has like divisions which are in the mountains. So once they retire or sabbatical or whatever, they are posted here, and then they are sort of responsible. So it's a really, like, that's really a hidden gem. If you want to get into mountaineering, India is actually the place to be because
Wow.
of these institutes. Yeah, I mean, if you're on a budget and all of that, it's and plus we have like so many big mountains that of course we have the field. So there are if I start from the northwest, there is an institute in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir. फिर if you come down south, Himachal में in Manali there is an institute, Atal Bihari Vajpayee Mountaineering Institute. That's where I went. और
Okay.
नीचे आओ तो उत्तराखंड में एक है, which is the most popular one, Nehru Institute of Mountaineering, and then Sikkim has one and Arunachal has one. So these are essentially five major. I mean, I'm sure there are more now, but these are five sort of government institutes which train you, which teaches you mountaineering, and they have their basic mountaineering course. All of them have it. It's a month-long course, so you need to commit ek mahina. So you have to be there basically for a month. It's a proper like certificate course where there is an exam. You have actually practical exam in like climbing a
Okay.
rock, for example. They evaluate it, they give you marks and all of that. So
Hmm.
it's a pretty serious course, and it is very like physically very intensive. Army वाले लोग हैं, so they पूरा तेल निकालते हैं properly. But yeah, at the end of that, you are like you do feel a difference. I did that back in 2014 when I
Okay.
realized that I wanted to get into mountaineering. तो अभी काफी 9-10 साल हो गए हैं. So I'm sure things have changed now, but the courses, I mean, I recently checked, they're all still very much there and available for public to do. So I
एंड
would
ये
recommend those.
बेसिक कोर्स है, इसके बाद कोई इससे ऊपर का कोर्स भी है, प्रोफेशनल या जो
Yes,
भी?
yes. So this is a basic course. They have an advanced course after that. So
अच्छा.
basically, you have to get an A grade in basic course to go on to the advanced course. So advanced course, they're going to teach you more advanced things, and then there's a method of instruction. So for people who want to teach
टीच. हाँ.
mountaineering, there is a method of instruction. So there are these three levels, and then there are parallel things like specifically for snow, for ice, and वो
हम्म.
ऐसे छोटे courses भी होते हैं. But these are like main basic month-long courses which people do.
ओके.
So.
सो धवल, आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट कि आफ्टर दिस डिस्कशन आप हमारे इस वीडियो के कमेंट्स में ना ये 5 स्कूल्स के एटलीस्ट नाम टाइप कर दें,
Mm-hmm.
ताकि whoever is interested they can easily search for
Absolutely.
those schools, है ना? And what is
Absolutely.
the kind of fees that is
Fees, like all of these institutes, around 20,000 rupees is what you have to pay for a month-long course,
basic?
and basic course, and you're basically that takes care of your everything, lodging, food, everything there. So
अच्छा.
you're there for a month, and you're in the institute for a while, and then you go up in the mountain and camp and all of that for a good part of it. But basically everything
Hmm.
is covered in that. So 20,000 rupees around thoda plus and minus depending on the institute, I guess. But yeah, that's
Okay.
what it is. The tricky part is like some of them, like Nehru Institute of Mountaineering, is very popular, is very sought after, right? Even people from abroad, like people from Europe and all, come there and to get training. So waitlist काफी लंबी है. Is अभी करो तो maybe you'll get it next year or next year. It's like that. Like it's a year or two long waitlist. Some of them,
Oh.
the new ones, Arunachal Valley and all, you get in. That's not as much, and they're as good, I would say. But
Hmm.
yeah, the Nehru Institute of Mountaineering is really popular, and yeah, I mean, उसमें waitlist काफी होता है. So yeah, you need to check out all these things out, and according to your
हाँ.
anyway, it's a big break, right? It's like a month-long break that you're taking, so you need to plan anyway. So yeah.
हम्म. ठीक है, ठीक है. फीस का भी काफी मतलब सब्सिडाइज्ड ही है, बिकॉज
Yeah,
रहना
yeah, absolutely.
खाना एंड ट्रेनिंग इज इंक्लूडेड इन दैट 20,000 फॉर अ होल मंथ.
Yes, yes.
लेकिन along with all this, mountaineering also requires specialized equipment and clothes and other
Mm-hmm.
gear,
Mm-hmm.
special shoes and everything. So what are the basic things that are required, like basic minimum things that are absolutely necessary to have, and what is the cost implication of that? Can you share that?
So mountaineering equipment is expensive. It is not easy to
Mm.
own, and I would say it's not wise just going to the market and buying it. That is not how it works. Like you need to a lot of gear is you need to like understand if that works for you. Right? जूते भी होते हैं, so they have big mountaineering boots, especially made. But you need to actually wear it, use it, and see if it is working for you, because हर एक का foot type थोड़ा different होता है, foot shape different होता है, and a lot of dynamics there. So you need to basically try it on. So I would recommend, if you're starting off, rent all your gear. Do not buy anything. Buy
अच्छा.
basic stuff like kapde, thermals, and all of that you buy, but like any specific gear, for example, boots or crampons or helmets or anything else that are carrying ice axe, all of that, I would recommend. There are good like rental places in the hills which rent these out. So do that, see what works for you, and eventually you rent 2-3 times, and you realize it's working for you, then go ahead and buy it, because this stuff is expensive. So it's an investment. Like even now I buy one thing a year. I can't buy something more than that कि इस बार ये खरीदा तो I'll rent the rest of the stuff अगले साल एक और कुछ खरीदूंगा ऐसे. So it's
हाँ.
yeah, it takes some time and trial and error to really understand what gear works for you and what doesn't.
Okay, that's a very important piece of information actually. So
Mm-hmm.
one has to actually first rent for a couple of times and
Huh.
then go ahead and buy.
Especially boots and those things. There's some stuff you can buy, like clothes, for example, of
हाँ.
course, that is okay, like thermals,
हम्म.
yeah, जो भी layers and all of
लेकिन
that.
मिलता वो भी है रेंट पे क्या?
मिलता है सब. I mean, you
अच्छा.
can literally end up there in nothing and like get everything out there. There is a lot of that in. हमारे इसमें उतना we have that much infrastructure now. Like there are a lot of people who
Hmm.
are in that business of doing that. So yeah, you can get all of that.
Okay. Okay. Let us now take some audience questions. So
Yeah.
one of our audience, Shweta Goyal, is asking, how do you balance work life with this passion of mountaineering?
Yeah, that's a good question. It is मतलब अभी यहाँ पे तो फिलहाल in the US it's easier to really get away on a weekend and do this like weekend या फिर एक और दिन ले लो तो 2-3 दिन में mountains are not that high here so you typically go for 2 or 3 days. India में that is impossible, right? Mountains are much higher, itineraries are much longer, so you actually need to take time off. तो India में था तो as I said, right, every summer I used to do a trip to the Himalayas and I used to take like 2 या 3 हफ्ते off. I used to save my holidays for that and then
Yeah.
do it because that's the only way you're going to do because you can't hurry basically, right? When you're at an altitude, your body slowly gets used to the oxygen level, so you can't, I mean, even if you are capable of walking, like you're the fittest person, you're capable of walking 10 to 15 kilometers in a day, you can't because at that altitude
Hmm.
you need to pace it out slowly, you need to let your body get used to the oxygen and stuff like that. So it takes time basically. It's not less. For example, if
Yeah.
you want to climb Everest, I think it's a 1 month or 45 day expedition hota hai wo, from base camp to
Oh,
base camp. Yeah, it's a long one. So basically you're climbing different peaks in that time, getting used to the altitude, coming back down and all of that.
acha.
And then once you're acclimatized, then you actually go for the peak. So that is how it works. So yeah, to answer the question, balancing matlab yahan pe if you're doing like a smaller thing, it's okay, it gets balanced, but otherwise you have to sort of
You have to make
plan for it.
special
Yeah.
plans, yeah. So save
Yeah.
up your holidays, save up your money, and
Yeah.
throughout the year keep training. I mean, at least the
हाँ वो तो
fitness, general fitness के लिए.
fitness general, and I'm lucky that around me there are a lot of mountains, like smaller mountains but still good for hiking. So weekend mein I can just like take off and climb something and come, so that keeps me in shape, right? If you're
Hmm.
not living in sort of a mountain area like it used to happen with me in India. I was staying in Mumbai, still has some Western Ghats around, but some places in India of course are far from mountains, so then
Yeah.
that becomes like uske liye alag se you have to
हाँ,
travel and
पहले
do
वहां
stuff like
पहुंचो
that.
फिर करो. But
हाँ.
अभी you are located right in the middle of the Rockies, है ना?
नहीं, I'm in California. So, but there are mountains around here as well, Sierra
अच्छा,
Nevadas, and yeah, so there is
अच्छा.
quite a bit around me. Yeah, I wish I was living near the Rockies. That would have been
मेरे को
good, but
लगा because you were saying कि इतना mountains है मेरे आसपास, तो मेरे को लगा आप यूएस में हो तो शायद आप रॉकीज के बीच में रहते हो.
someday,
Okay.
Vijayata.
Acha, so one Kushal Jolapara is asking, who are your role models?
Role models. Kushal is asking difficult questions. uh, I, I mean, there are of course a lot of famous people. A lot of people would have
Yeah,
heard of Nimsdai. He came up with the 14 peaks. If you have seen the documentary on Netflix
yeah,
and all of that.
yeah,
I don't particularly have a role model as such, like a person as such. Yes, there are a lot of people in this doing a lot of great things, breaking records, doing climbs without oxygen and all of that. And all of this, of course, is very like appreciable and something I look up to. I don't particularly have like one role model as such. It's yeah, I mean, it's more for me. Mountaineering is not as much about कि ठीक है ये जाके पहाड़ चढ़ रहा है. It's more about you know uh, sort of testing your own limits, right? Like you go
hmm,
up till there and you're good, then next time you go a little higher and go a little higher, like that. So it's more a personal journey of sorts for me, more than like something I look at somebody and I aspire to that. Aisa nahi hai. But there are a lot of people who are doing really good stuff and who are really skilled
hmm.
out there, and up now there are a lot of like, yeah, of course, YouTube channel, YouTube videos, documentaries and stuff
Celebrity
about it and all that.
climbers are there nowadays, like
तो है ही
Nimza
वो तो
himself. Yeah.
Nims that, yeah. So that is, it helped in increasing the popularity of the sport, I guess.
Oh, sure, sure. All right. So, Abhinav is asking, what is the one thing you wish you knew before you got into mountaineering?
What is the one thing wish I knew? I wish I knew how expensive it is. Because
हमने अपने ऑडियंस को काफी बार बता दिया है कि भाई देख लो, it is quite expensive.
हाँ यार, it is an expensive sport, like, and you need so many things that to be prepared. I'll give you an example. I mean, this year itself, February, it was pretty cold. It snowed a lot in California here, and me and my friends were, we were like, chalo theek hai, bahut snow hua hai, thoda snow practice kar lete hain. Like that weather is not conducive to really climb a peak, but we were like, chalo, let's go and at least play around in snow and spend a day out there. Just to do that, we are not even climbing a mountain, right? Just to do that, the amount of preparation it took and gear it took to go, because it's like minus 15, minus 20 degrees centigrade outside,
Yeah.
right? And you're camping in that, so you need a lot of warm gear, and you need to take care of a lot of things, safety and all of that, right? So
Right.
avalanche aa gaya to kya karoge, avalanche probe chahiye. So when you actually get to it, there's so many things that add up that it's like, at one point you ask yourself, really? I'm doing
अब
this, in
तो
this money
इसमें
I can fly
हमने
to India and back. But
लेकिन अब
yeah,
तो इसमें हिंदी
अब
में एक कहावत है ना, ओखली में सर डाल दिया है, तो अब क्या डरना,
बिल्कुल
अब तो
बिल्कुल, एक बार
जो
घुस गए तो
होगा
घुस गए
होगा।
बस।
तो एवलांच से एक ये है सवाल, वन ऑफ आवर ऑडियंस रेखा नायक इज आस्किंग, Dhaval, have you faced an avalanche condition in any of your snow climbs, and how did you react in such a
हाँ
situation?
हाँ,
Yes.
avalanche, that's my mom asking that question, by the
Oh,
way.
so
So
she
avalanche,
actually knows, but yeah, please share with us.
yes, she knows. I told her after, like way after it happened.
और
I
नहीं तो
can't tell
क्या, ये तो
her.
पेरेंट के लिए तो बहुत ही हॉरिफिक
that's
बात
that's a
है भाई।
good that's a good point. While my mom is watching, I want to bring this up. It's really difficult to get a buy-in from parents, especially Indian parents. They're always wanting you to be safe. So yeah,
या
that barrier took some time to
ये
cross.
आपसे एक्चुअली मैं पूछना भूल गई है, मैंने अपने बाकी जो ऐसे जैसे बाइकिंग इज आल्सो क्वाइट रिस्की ना, तो ऐसे एक
Mhm.
दो बाइकर्स से मेरी बात हुई थी, तो उनसे मैंने ये पूछा था कि आप अपने पेरेंट्स को कैसे कन्विंस करते हो कि वो आपको इतनी लंबी जर्नीज में जाने दें जिसमें इतना खतरा है, आप भी बताओ, हाउ
Yeah,
डिड
it's
यू
uh, it's
मैनेज?
it's hard, right? Like it's the 12. I mean, I was in India in 2017, did an expedition. 12 din you are like completely out of uh, network, out of touch, out
ऑफ
of
द
everything.
ग्रिड।
There's no off the grid completely, right? You go in, I like 12 din baad, I will like reach out to you, and then it for somebody who is like waiting for you, like it's really hard, right, to spend that time. So I can imagine, I can only imagine what parents and other loved ones really go through when that
या
happens. But
या
yeah. But yeah, to answer her question, avalanche, yes, I have faced a few avalanches while I've been there. Thankfully, I've not been in an avalanche, so I've never had to like rescue or get rescued. But yeah, it is pretty scary when sheets of snow starts falling.
तो
There
व्हाट,
is
वेयर वर यू लोकेटेड जब वो हो रहा था, लाइक यू सॉ इट फ्रॉम अ डिस्टेंस?
हाँ, हम नीचे थे, ऊपर हो रहा था, like it is falling, it was coming down, but there was some distance between us and the floor of the mountain. So I mean, we could just see it, and it happened. Hota hai, all these courses, the good thing is all these mountaineering courses that I mentioned, I mean, a lot of focus is on safety and rescue wahan pe. Like a lot of your time you spend on understanding how, if somebody in your party or anybody in the mountain is hurt or injured, how are you going to get them out? Like there's a lot on that. So medical first aid and all of that is a big part of it. So basically, any mountain, anybody will have some sort of first aid knowledge and will have some medical kit, basically. So a lot of it is based on rescue. So there are scenarios which they practice, like कोई glacier में, there are crevasses in a glacier, right? A glacier has those
या
cracks, उसमें
या
कोई गिर गया है. So
वो तो
they actually we practice it where somebody actually falls, and then within a certain time you have to get them out. And so they practice basically real life scenarios and stuff like that. So there's a lot of training on this avalanche and rescue as well wahan pe. So yeah, we're
ओके
prepared for
ओके।
it basically.
And one more audience is asking, what is the next summit you want to conquer?
Next summit I want to conquer, the big summit that I want to conquer here in the US is Denali. Actually, it's in Alaska. So that is next on my
Okay.
list while I'm here. Yeah. This year we have certain plans for some mountains here in California and Washington, but the big one is Denali.
Okay.
Yeah, next on my list. And then probably I'll go to South America at some point in the future and climb Aconcagua. That's another one of my, while I'm in this part of the world, I want to climb some
Yeah.
mountains here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, what's the highest that you've climbed so far?
Highest would be, I've gone up till 20,000 feet in the Himalayas twice. One is in Ladakh, Stoke Kangri. I've gone
Okay.
there, and one is in Uttarakhand again. That is a failed attempt. We didn't actually make it to the peak. The peak was higher, but we went till about 20,000 feet and then had to turn back. So yeah, I've had quite a few failed attempts actually, which teach you
तो
more.
you
So
said ना, it's a part of the whole
exactly, yeah, yeah, yeah,
mountaineering
yeah,
experience,
yeah,
so होएगा
absolutely.
ही.
वो तो है ही, मतलब that
not
is how you
always
learn.
have
Yeah,
successful attempts. उसमें 14 peaks में भी
yeah,
तो उनका हुआ है failed attempt and all.
yeah,
Even though
yeah.
वो record time में कर रहे थे फिर भी है ना.
Yeah. I mean, that is like at the end of the day, the weather on a mountain is
Yeah, वो
completely.
भी
I mean,
unpredictable.
yeah, you cannot predict it. However good prediction you have, you can't say what's going to happen then and then, and you have to react to it. Basically, it's always reactive. There's you cannot.
हाँ,
I mean, you can do something proactively. कि in general, climate trends देख लो, wind कहाँ से है. That is something you learn as well quite a bit when you're into mountaineering. You learn to read the weather very well, like based on forecasts, based on wind speeds and all of that, which you wouldn't otherwise consider, right? You wouldn't look at wind speed in general, like kahin bhi ho.
hmm,
But there you actually see, okay, is the wind coming from the coastal side? When it is, if it is coming from the ocean side, it's going to bring in moisture, so it's likely to rain, stuff like that. So you
हाँ,
understand those dynamics quite well when you are in this. You also
हाँ,
learn to read maps pretty well, because
yeah.
it's life and death. कि कहाँ खाई है, मैप पे देख के यू कैन टेल यहाँ पे खाई है, यहाँ पे नहीं है, this is to be safe to go. So you learn to read the contour maps and all of that
Yeah,
pretty well.
exactly. These must be contour maps, right?
Yes, तो
तो
वो
ये
सब.
भी
और
ट्रेनिंग में पूरा सिखाते हैं.
हाँ, ट्रेनिंग में you have some exposure, you have some
हाँ,
tests based on that, and in
yeah.
general you learn all of these things, yeah, pretty well.
Nice. So there's a lot of elements involved in mountaineering, lot of
Absolutely.
training, lot of mental and physical strength, and lot of
Yes.
money.
Money,
So
yes.
that's
Am
the
I scaring your
wonderful
audience by saying money all
description
the
of
time?
of the whole thing. Let us now take a look at some of your pictures that
Sure.
you've shared with us, and you can tell us what's going on there, what is that place, and everything. So, this is like the entertainment section of our live in conversation. And in the meanwhile, audience, if you all have any more questions, please do type them. And after the photo session ka slideshow, we'll discuss those questions as well. Okay, just a second. All right, can you see this?
Yes.
So do tell.
Oh, this is a beautiful. So sunset was right behind me. This is actually taken earlier this year. It's a place in California called Lake Shasta. This is in that area. If you notice, I mean, you can't see the sun, of course, it's behind, but it's lit up the clouds on top, and uska reflection pani mein dikh raha hai,
Yeah,
the pink
it's like
reflection.
this pink,
Yeah. So this
gorgeous.
this year was a really big snow year here in California. It's like California last 2-3 years has been having droughts, so there's not
Okay.
enough rain and snow. इस साल इतना ज़्यादा हुआ है कि it's like become like a winter wonderland, and there's even अभी गर्मी आ गई है फिर भी there is a lot of snow up there in the mountains. So
Acha.
it's exciting time to be here. This is actually Mount Hood. I didn't go up all the way, went up till here. This is a mountain in up here in Oregon, California, ke thoda upar. So this
Okay.
is that, went up the ridge to this point. And yeah, I mean, it looks like it's just there, but there's probably a day of climb to get to the top of
अच्छा.
that. Yeah.
अच्छा.
So yeah, it
ये
is.
एक दिन का
That's
है पूरा
हाँ एक दिन
ऊपर
का
जाए.
है. That's the thing, right? And a lot of it looks it's right there, but it actually when you're going, it takes forever. So that you have to be prepared for. You understand that estimation also pretty well. Like initially, पहले लगता है नहीं चले जाओगे. You first you measure in like kilometers or miles, right? कि इतना इतना चलना है, इतना ये है. This is not about that. This probably यहाँ से to the top of the thing would be barely a kilometer long as you're looking. But then that kilometer is going to take a lot of time because of the terrain that is there. Like
Exactly.
there is ice, snow, and everything. So that's the
Hmm.
tricky part. So this is that.
Hmm.
This
This
is
I think everyone recognizes.
yeah. This is
Like,
not really mountaineering. I'm
no,
cheating a
but
bit
then it's good
here.
you included this picture. It's lovely.
This is Machu Picchu in Peru. So I was down in South America. Actually, I mean, I did my master's here in the US, and I went down there for a semester, a student exchange program. So
Oh,
I spent a good month and a half in South America, in
in
Chile and
in,
Peru.
in Chile and Peru.
Chile
Okay,
and
okay.
Peru. So yeah, that's when I visited Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu is interesting. It has a couple of ways to get there. There's an Inca trail, which is what the old Incas used to come to, used to come
Huh.
on and reach here.
Yeah.
And there's also a mountaineering, not mountaineering, but like a high altitude trail where you cross a pass called Salkante Pass. So I did that. So it's a 3 day
Okay.
experience where you go up much higher and then come down, and it's beautiful. Like South America is out of the world. The Andes are, I mean,
Yeah.
these mountains actually reminded me of Himalayas when I went there. Like it is
Yeah.
grand and it's beautiful. And yeah, Machu Picchu is a really good place historically, archaeologically, mountain wise, everything. People is the people, and food, everything is brilliant. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You have you watched this like documentary series called The Magical Andes? It's on Netflix. You
I
should
think
check
I've
it
heard
out.
of it. I don't think I've
Yeah,
watched
it's
it.
lovely. You'll love it
Uh-huh.
if you've
Uh-huh.
been there and you like it so much.
Yeah.
Inca Trail नीचे से ही है it's a simpler trail. वो कितना दिन लगता है वहां पहुंचने में?
Inca Trail is yeah, Inca Trail I believe takes 2 days or three. I'm not
अच्छा.
sure. I think it takes 2 days. I didn't do that, so I'm not very sure. But yeah,
Okay.
Inca Trail is actually has a lot of history attached to it. Like there are
Hmm.
along the way there are a lot of structures which
Yeah.
the Mayans built back then. Sorry, the Incas built back then. And
हाँ.
yeah, there's a lot of history around it, and it of course passes beautiful terrain. So yeah,
Hmm.
but I didn't. I mean, you need permit and stuff for that, so I didn't get that permit. But that's why I went
Oh.
the longer way. Yeah,
सो बेसिकली माचू पिच्चू के ये इस फोटो के लिए 2 या 3 दिन चढ़ना पड़ता है पहाड़, तब जा सकते हैं,
तीन
तब ये
दिन
मिलेगा
हाँ,
फोटो.
yes,
हाँ,
yes,
3 दिन.
absolutely. I mean, there are
हाँ.
easier ways to get there as well, but yeah, you if you want to actually feel it, go this way.
या या.
Yeah, yeah. This is actually on the same trail that I said, this Alcante trail. So this is our group
ओके.
going with the 3 day thing to, yeah, there's a beautiful lake behind
या.
and you
व्हाट
can see
व्हाट
the
अ
glaciers
ब्यूटीफुल.
on top. Yeah, it's really
लवली.
good. This is in the Himalayas. This is the 20,000 feet place I was talking about. So this plateau is probably at 20,000, and that peak is a little higher, around 3-4,000 further out.
वाओ.
So yes, so this is that place, out of the world. This experience. This was a 12-day. That's this what I was telling you. This is the 12-day expedition that we did.
हाँ.
So this is actually hardcore mountaineering, where I mean, even to get a permit, you basically you assemble a team, and everybody in the team has to have done enough mountains before to qualify for it, and they don't give you a permit like the Indian. There's a
Is that
governing
so?
body. There's a governing body called IMF, Indian Mountaineering Foundation. They sort of control permits for peaks above a certain height, 5,000, 6,000 meters. So
अच्छा.
and then they see the ability of your team,
ओके.
mountaineering courses and all of that. They see your credentials and then they grant you permit based on that. So this was just 5 of us, and like I did the mountaineering course in 2014, so I built a very good network, right? You people you meet there, a lot of them are like pahadi log hote hain. They for them it's a bread and butter, right? Like they are there to become guides and stuff like that. But I mean, I going there, I really built a very good network like with them. So now अब कभी मुझे हिमालयस में कुछ करना है कि भाई ये चढ़ना है, तो I just call up my friend. I'm like, चलो चलते हैं अगले साल. He'll arrange stuff. He'll like take care of the logistics, and we go there, and then we plan this. So
Okay.
this was one such trip which we went with the mountaineering group. Unfortunately, we couldn't go all the way up to the peak. This is called Kala Nag. It's Black Peak. So when you look
अच्छा.
at it from, you can even look at it from like lower hill stations. Mussoorie वगैरह से दिखता है ये काफी ऊपर काफी पीछे इसमें. But
Okay.
yeah, we are approaching it from the back basically.
Okay, so this another new piece of information is कि इंडिया में certain height के ऊपर के mountains के लिए आपकी training होनी जरूरी है, and you have to have a record of climbing and
Yes,
everything, तभी
yes.
आपको government वो permit देता है.
Yes. I mean, as a team, they evaluate you as a team.
हाँ.
So your team should have enough experienced people and credentials. Wale, they do allow a few beginners who don't probably have not yet built, but they have to be able, and the team will not take you if you're not, right? So basically,
Right.
yeah, this is hardcore mountaineering. So this is from
Okay.
there. Huh.
Okay.
This is actually a mountain here in California called Mount Shasta. This is the closest big mountain to me, and I've attempted to climb it thrice. I have not yet been able to go on top.
अच्छा.
Teen
And what are
bar,
the reasons why you couldn't reach the top?
multiple reasons. Weather being one of
हाँ.
them. एक साल, I mean, this area is known for wildfires, forest fires. So एक साल
अच्छा.
there were forest fires, so that there was a lot of smoke. So basically, breathing gets affected when you're climbing, and
Right.
I couldn't breathe. पिछले बार किया तो weather got the better of us. Like the first day, the weather was pretty bad, so we couldn't go where we wanted to go to and camp in the night. So then there's a lot more left. So this remains unclimbed for me, and I really want to do it
अच्छा.
this year. I'm going to attempt it this year again next month. So hoping I get there. Fourth time is the charm.
चलो, best wishes to you.
Thank
Hope
you.
इस साल हुए.
Thank you. Yeah. This
And
is, I
this,
think, from the same expedition. So this is how basically you rope up. So when you're going up a slope,
hmm,
this rope, you see rope tied to everybody. That is sort of
yes,
safety. If somebody falls, the other people can arrest
okay,
the person who falls. So yeah, I mean, in the mountaineering course, a lot of training is given on, as I said, on safety. So there's a lot of rope work. So in terms of knots, what their particular kind of rope knots you use for a particular activity. Some of the
right.
knots do not allow you to come back. So it's like a climbing knot of sorts where it's only one way. So you can go up, rope ऊपर ऊपर slide आता है, but नीचे नहीं आता. So that's good for like arresting somebody's fall when they're going up a cliff, for example. So all these tricks and tips you learn in these courses.
Right.
Yeah, and that's where. So yeah, this is me going up
And
that.
when you're in that altitude, what is there in the bag? I'm just curious.
Bag is your everything basically, right? Your next camp में जो all the tent and everything, all your clothes, जो गर्म रात को ठंडा होता है, तो those things, all your mountaineering gear, heavy gear, you wear
So
boots,
ये
you wear
आप काफी
crampons.
हैवी बैग कैरी करके ही चढ़ते हैं
Yes,
माउंटेन्स में.
so
ये
training for mountaineering, you literally, like when you're training to go to a big mountain, you literally fill rocks and bricks in your pack and go up and down. That's how you practice. You have to practice with like certain weight
hmm,
every time. So start with 10 kilos, 15 kilos, 20 kilos, 25 kilos. You put that on your back and you walk, and that's how you train, because mountain packs are really heavy because there is a lot of
yeah,
gear which you need. So
yeah. And typically कितना वेट होता है इन बैग्स का जब आप क्लाइंब कर रहे हैं? 20-25 किलो.
25-30 किलो तक भी होता है. So
Oh,
it is heavy, yeah. And that
wow.
is nothing compared to what the Sherpas carry, right? If you've seen all those documentaries, they carry
हाँ,
100 kilo ke stuff they're carrying, and they're carrying people down a mountain to rescue and stuff like that. So
right,
they are strong. Yeah, I wish
right.
I had half their strength. Yeah. This is a mountain here again in the US. This is in the Rockies, actually, in Colorado. It's
अच्छा,
called Mount Elbert. Yeah. So I
okay,
climbed this. I was able to climb this.
okay.
Um,
Wow.
this is, yeah. So this is a phenomenon which happens. There's a mountain range here in California called the Sierra Nevada. So this is one of the national parks, Yosemite National Park. So
Hmm.
at a particular time of the year, the sun rays. There's actually sun falling on the cliff, and there's a stream of water running down. So in February, typically, जब sun का angle is there and there is enough snow melt for water to start flowing, uh,
Hmm.
just for a period of एक दो हफ्ते, this it looks like this at sunset basically.
Hmm.
When you look at it, it's basically water and like light shining on it, but it looks like fire is falling. It's called a firefall basically. So
Oh,
yeah, it is that phenomenon that occurs at a particular time of the year. So I was able to
at
catch it.
particular time of the year, not day.
Not day, particular time of the year, because sun keeps winter and summer mein sun keeps moving, right? Sun moves more north in the summer and more south in the
So you
winter.
were
So
lucky to be there at that time, or you
I mean
planned
that
it.
plan kiya tha. It's a event which happens every year. So you sort of plan for it
Someone has
and
to plan
yeah,
it.
go there
Okay,
and
okay,
plan.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, this is again in California. We have beautiful mountains and a lot of snow.
Hmm.
So this is one of those camping
Okay.
trips. You can see there is a
I can see your
uh,
bag, which is so big.
so I mean, if you have to camp there in the night, you have to carry all of this, tents and everything in your bag. So
Right.
yeah. This is also this is in Washington, actually, a mountain called
Hmm.
Mount Rainier. So I had gone till a certain point and beautiful sunset in the background.
Beautiful, really.
Yeah. This is the Himalayas, Black Peak. So this is our team which I was talking to you about, right? Like
Huh.
mountaineers, we got permits. So these are like proper professional mountains. I met some of them in my mountaineering course, and that's how I like got to know them. And then they were planning something,
Okay.
so I was like, I'll go. Huh? So I mean, you
Wow.
can see a lot of gear here. The guy in the front, he's carrying some snow picks. So those are basically used to anchor ropes. So you उसको snow में गाड़ते हैं, and packed snow is very strong. So basically उस snow को you put it inside and you pack it properly. It's almost like a rock. So that can be used as an
Huh.
anchor to anchor your rope and then climb
Huh.
based on that. So these are all tips and tricks that you get to know when you do this kind of stuff. So
ओके ओके.
yeah,
ये एकदम ही बच्चों का खेल नहीं है
and
ऑडियंस को.
I, it is not. Yeah, yeah.
ये क्या हो गया आपको धवल?
This happens, the sun does this. So sunburn and wind. So at that
At that
altitude,
altitude,
yeah, you
हाँ,
can't really do much about it. How much of sunscreen
true.
लगा लो, कुछ ज़्यादा
हाँ,
फर्क doesn't make much of a difference. But yeah,
right.
these are the elements working your face
अच्छा है,
basically.
battle scars that you flawed for few days after a big
Yeah, yeah,
climb.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You always look really bad after a climb. This is Kanchenjunga, the third highest
Yeah.
mountain in the world. It's on the border of India and Nepal. It's in Sikkim.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
this is the view from. So one of the a very popular trek actually in Sikkim. It's called Goechala. So this goes till
Hmm.
the base of the of Kanchenjunga from the Indian side, basically. So
अच्छा.
Indian side base camp is near Goechala. So it's a really beautiful trek. Like it is a little different from the Himachal or Jammu and Kashmir wale treks
Okay.
in scenery and all, but yeah, it's a very beautiful one. And it's the sunset, I think, or the sunrise. I think the sunrise on the on Kanchenjunga is like out of the world. It's like beautiful that it just.
Hmm.
I think it's sunset. Sorry, it's sunset. It's really nice.
So you went to the base camp?
Ha! I went till Kanchenjunga base camp. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
This is the what you earn after you graduate from a mountaineering course. So this is what I earned. It's like a badge, but yeah,
Nice.
I'm proud of having this because it is this toughest,
For sure.
physically the toughest 1 month of my life that I've spent. So yeah, this is
Hmm.
price for
Okay.
that.
Yeah, sure. And this?
This is actually a glacier thing. So I was talking to you about crevasse rescue. So that's a
Yeah,
crevasse
yeah,
right there. That's a glacier. It's a
yeah.
crevasse. So, you this is where you practice it. Somebody goes down that crevasse basically. And crevasse I mean, just to give you an analogy, if you I don't know what the average age group of your viewers is, but if you remember, पहले जो fridge होते थे अपने घर में जो frost free freezer होते थे, right? When
Right.
freezer used to have like frost free नहीं होता था. तो ऐसे
हाँ.
एक आइस का लेयर होता था काफी चिपक जाते थे राइट उसमें like if you remember there's that ice layer which is continuously there so it becomes very
Hmm.
sticky so when you put your hand in वो हाथ तुम्हारा चिपक जाता है so this
हाँ, हाँ,
actually
हाँ.
you remember that so these glaciers the walls are like that so basically if you touch your bare flesh onto a
It will
glacier
stick to
wall
it.
it will stick so hard that you cannot take it off and if you take it off your skin will come off basically your skin is still sticking in your hand so it's that is the thing so basically you're not supposed to approach these things with bare skin anywhere like all part of your skin has to be covered to be really able to approach glaciers and then if you fall down that how do you rescue how do you go down what kind of knots do you tie and stuff like that so
Hmm.
that's the training that we did in this
Yeah.
glacier training
So, no, it's a big teamwork also, you know.
yeah absolutely
It's
yeah
ज़्यादा ही because you
Mhm.
can't just leave someone in there and carry on.
Teamwork and it's a lot of judgment. That's why I said in the beginning, right? It's a lot of leadership skills. It's a lot of judgment calls. And you're
Right.
responsible for life. So it's a lot of
Right.
that. So it teaches you that a lot. I think that's why. I mean, a lot of management or in fact, IIMs in India, MBA programs, they have. I think they've recently introduced a sort of outdoor activity thing. So for their students, so they take them to the mountains and sort of lead, these treks and stuff like that, where you actually pick up real world leadership skills and stuff like this where you're making judgment calls you're
Mhm.
under pressure how are you going to act and what are you going to like how are you going to do your aim is to climb a mountain but that's not really what they're looking at right they're looking at how you're managing and stuff like that so you learn a
Doing it
lot of
throughout.
yeah
Yeah, what
yeah
you're doing throughout, huh?
you learn a lot of that uh,
Okay.
in this yeah this is again a glacier climb so basically you this is a vertical wall mind you of
Yeah.
ice and you have I mean you're of course tied for safety because if you fall you're falling like 150 feet down which is going to like kill you so you have ropes for safety but essentially you're not using the ropes to climb ropes are just there for safety so you are still climbing with your bare hands and legs so it's extremely like it takes a lot of strength to do that both the hands you have ice axes and both the legs you have crampons which are like spikes which sort of
Right.
dig into the ice and then you have to go up so yeah this
So
is
धवल ये ऊपर कौन बांधता है जाके पहले से?
so there is always a lead climber. So I mean, this is true in ice as well as rock. पहला बंदा जो है वो जाता है. He wherever he reaches, he puts a safety knot and then he goes up a bit. So basically, if he falls, he's always anchored onto that point underneath. So at one point he'll go maybe 5 feet up. तो 5 फुट में यहाँ पे एक एंकर लगाया, फिर थोड़ा ऊपर क्लाइंब किया, फिर 5 फुट ऊपर एंकर लगाया. So at any point if he falls, the maximum he'll fall down is 5 + 5, 10 feet, right? Because you can
हाँ
only
हाँ
go
हाँ
5 feet up before there's an anchor. So he falls
ठीक.
10 feet. So basically it's you're trying to arrest their climb. So the first person goes and puts it, and then the
हम्म,
rest of the team comes. And this
अच्छा.
lead climbing is always taken turn by turn. So if you're doing a pitch, it's called a pitch. Like from here to here is called a pitch. So if you're doing a
Okay.
pitch, you basically take turns. पहला
हाँ.
एक बंदा जाएगा लीड क्लाइंब करेगा, अगले पिच में कोई और जाएगा लीड क्लाइंब करेगा, because it's a lot of
हम्म,
effort, physical effort.
हाँ.
Yeah. So
और
you know
उसके
you
बाद तो relatively आसान हो जाता होगा बाकी लोगों के लिए.
I mean, there is a rope, so it's easier.
हाँ.
You don't have to. It's faster in terms of कि तुम्हें you don't have to go every feet and put an anchor, right? You're able to go
Right.
up straight. So I mean,
Right.
it's still takes time, but yeah, I mean that's how it is done.
Hmm.
So in places like Mount Everest and all, at the beginning of the season, the Sherpas go and put these fixed
Hmm. Hmm.
ropes
Hmm.
in certain
Hmm.
tricky sections, so that every team doesn't have to do it. There are fixed ropes already, and they can go up. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
This is one of my first Himalayan trek. Actually, I'm looking so young. I look like a
हाँ,
kid.
मतलब
I
you're
am a
looking
kid.
really different.
So this is, I don't know, back in 2012, I think. 11
Okay.
साल पहले, हाँ, this is one of my first Himalayan treks called Rupkund. So there is
Look.
Rupkund. There's a kund here right behind
हाँ.
us actually, and
हाँ.
पीछे there is this peak. Trishul is
Oh.
the peak. Yeah,
Okay.
right on top. So yeah, this is my first initiation into like high altitude, and that's where I got hooked on कि नहीं ये करना है मुझे, ये चढ़ना है एक दिन.
This
तो
one you're talking about,
yeah, I
yeah?
mean, I went in here and I was like, नहीं मुझे one day I want to reach on top. What do I need for that? Mountaineering.
Hmm.
Okay, let's get there that way.
अच्छा, अच्छा. And this?
This is one of the recent ones. Again, this winter in California where it snowed a lot. This is where I was telling you about it. एक दिन के लिए गए थे कि snow में camp करेंगे and stuff, and we had to
हाँ.
carry so much gear and so much stuff for that. So this is that.
Right, right, right.
This is actually in Alaska. So this is Denali National Park in Alaska. Alaska is also like beautiful in terms of mountains. It has big mountains, and so we went there, spent a night, camping out there, and it's beautiful virgin territory. There's very less commercialization. There's no human presence basically. So it's like a huge park with
Not even indigenous.
कुछ नहीं है यहाँ पे. There's nothing. There's only nature.
Ach,
There are bear, the animals, and that's it. लोग बहुत कम
okay.
हैं.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, another picture from there. Yeah,
This one, same.
the same place. Yeah, just
Okay,
another.
okay. And you're gonna climb that Denali this year or
Not
next?
this year. Yeah, that's a 5 year plan actually. Yeah, I want to climb
Fire
it.
plan. Acha, acha.
Yeah, the Denali is behind that cloud somewhere. It's not seen, but yeah, it's a big
Okay.
behind that. Yeah.
Okay.
This one is. I'm also trying to remember what this is. Oh, this is this is again in California, in the Sierra Nevada on the eastern side. This is off season, so there's not as much snow because snow सब
Hmm.
melt हो चुका है. This is probably in September or October. So
Okay.
the snow is gone, but I mean, you would think snow है तो difficult होता है, but actually when the snow is gone, it's even harder to climb because you see how the terrain is. इतने सारे boulders और ये हैं, those things are more tricky to climb. There's rock fall and all, so it's easier to
Acha.
climb a mountain when it is filled with snow than when it is like this.
Hmm.
So this is actually not a climb, but this is Yellowstone National Park. That's a geyser out there. So
Right.
the beautiful colors you see is because of
Hmm.
the presence of salts, copper, and all of that. So school में chemistry में जो flame test करते हैं, colors आते हैं beautiful. So this
वो
is
आप वहाँ सीधे देख
naturally
सकते हैं.
occurring, naturally
Hmm.
occurring colors like that. So it's a
Lovely.
beautiful place. Yeah.
Lovely.
This is again in the US. Fall colors हैं पीछे, so that's why I put this photo.
Hmm.
Nothing noteworthy about it, just fall colors.
ठीक है, it's nice still.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is Grand Canyon. So
Hmm.
US में there's a place called Grand Canyon. So a river is basically carved a huge canyon, and it is like a mile deep, 1.6
Hmm.
kilometers deep. And it goes straight down. And so we sort of planned the rim to rim. So एक rim से तुम नीचे जाते हो river तक and ऊपर आते हो. This whole thing is like it's like 18 miles. That's like what 20 something, 25, 26,
Wow.
27 kilometers. And it's over 2 days basically. So you have to go
So
down.
we
And
have
stay.
one of our audience, Satish Naik, is also asking, believe you've done rim to rim of Grand Canyon. Can you
Yeah.
share about that experience?
Yes, rim to rim was a great one because it really tells you how different altitude can make, what a difference altitude can make. So जहाँ शुरू करते हो यहाँ पे बहुत ठंडा था, बर्फ वगैरह था, और नीचे when you go to the river, it's like tropical jungle out there. So in a
Ah,
matter of, yeah, in a matter of 2-3 hours, you're actually going, your climate zones are like you're going down from एकदम mountainous climate zone to एकदम tropical India में आ गए ऐसे लगता है, like it's heavy
acha.
air and moisture and stuff like that. So it's very interesting how climate changes so quickly.
Right.
So yeah, this is another picture from Grand Canyon. And can you believe a river has done that, all of that? It's
Yeah.
carved out all of those valleys. So it's
Yeah.
it's insane. Yeah, it's something to wonder. This
Wow.
is yeah, this is Bryce Canyon. This is
Hmm.
also a place in the US. Again, water and wind erosion has caused this, like created this structure.
Natural formation.
Yeah, natural formations. So yeah,
Hmm.
it's yeah, a lot of places in North America and the US are astounding. This is another one of them. इसके photo
Wow.
देखे होंगे Antelope Canyon के. This is also a river which has carved its way down a rock. So rock की
Ah,
properties वैसी हैं कि it's gotten it's called slot canyon. So it's like a slot which has come, and then उसके से उसमें you're going and the light does forms beautiful shapes. So yeah, that is what this is.
it's
Yeah, it's me
so
out
freaking
there.
beautiful. Yeah, so beautiful. So yeah, that's the end of this really, really gorgeous slideshow of Dhawal's pictures. Just amazing. I'm just in awe of all of this. So Dhawal, last section, very quickly, we will
Mhm.
take up a few more questions. Sukanya is asking, hi Dhawal, what is it about the mountains that call out to you?
What is it about the mountain that calls out to you? So I actually wondered, I mean, while I was preparing for this very session, I was thinking to myself, right? Like the question, right? Why do you climb mountains? So I think I will take it in that sense. What is it about the mountains?
Hmm.
Why do you climb mountains?
Hmm.
It's a, I think it's a philosophical question. It's not really there's a reason why I climb mountains. I want to stay fit or whatever. All of those are like things that you get by doing it, but not really it, right? So I was wondering to myself, I think there are two parts to that, right? Uh, एक पार्ट है that's true for anybody and in any discipline. You tend to do things which you're good at. So you in early in life you try a lot of things, you identify things which you're really good at, and when you do that, it gives you a different kind of satisfaction, right? Tum kar rahe ho or you're good at it. So I think I guess in this term I realized that early in my life ki bhai, this is something I'm good at. So that's why I'm doing it. And second thing, I think it's a lot about pushing boundaries, right? You're testing yourself. You're constantly testing your own limit mentally as well as physically. तुम यहाँ यहाँ तक जा सकते हो, इस कंडीशन में जा सकते हो, और कितना कर सकते हो, और थोड़ा कर सकते हो
Hmm.
क्या, और थोड़ा कर सकते हो क्या. So every time you go up and then come down, next time you want to do it a little better, a little more, a little
A
higher,
little
a little more
further, yeah.
challenging, a little further, all of that. So it's you're constantly testing your own limits, and you'll be surprised how much you're capable of as a human being, right? And in all terms, not just physically, even mentally.
Hmm.
And you don't in your day-to-day life, maybe you don't really get to test it as much. काफी set life होती है, ये चीजें करनी है, वो चीजें करनी है. No doubt it is not easy, that is hard as well, its own challenges, but here you really like get into the element of that, right? कि
Yeah.
कितना तुम क्या कर सकते हो, कितना कर सकते हो, कैपेबिलिटी है क्या, next time you set a higher goal. So I guess it's infinite on top. So
Right.
you go till there, next time you can always do better, and that's how you go up basically.
Right.
So
Any plans for any of the Himalayan peaks?
हाँ, प्लान्स तो हैं अभी फिलहाल. आई एम हियर, सो लाइक लास्ट फ्यू
Hmm.
इयर्स कोविड वगैरह चल रहा था, तो आई डिडंट गेट टू ट्रैवल एज मच बैक होम.
Right.
अभी आई लास्ट ईयर आई वेंट आफ्टर 3 years. I came back to India last year, and yeah, after going back after 3 years, you don't really get to you have
Yeah,
only so
you
much
just
time to
have
spend
to
with family, so wo
be
nahi.
at home. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, probably next time. Yeah, I'll
Okay, okay. Best
plan
wishes for
something.
that. Last question, in running long distances or long distance cycling, mentors give a lot of importance to cross training. Is such cross training important in hiking and trekking?
Cross training is pretty important because
Hmm.
if you're doing the same thing, right, your muscles get used to it. So if you're climbing a mountain every day, right, there's certain muscles which get exercise and they get really developed. But after some time, it's your body's used to that workout, right? So
Right.
it's not gonna get that better. So it's very important to cross train, to train all your muscles and all parts of your body. So you can't do just one thing. And even uh, in terms of, if you're doing the same thing every day, even exercise wise, you're going to get bored, right? That's not how you want it to be. So yes, you need to cross train, you need to, you know do everything, basically all groups of muscles, your cardio and everything. So all of that needs to be done. And I mean, you have to also enjoy it. A lot of it is not just physical but thoda mental bhi. Like तुम जाते हो, hike करते हो, कहीं trek करते हो, you have to really enjoy it. That thing is also pretty important, right? वो खुशी,
Hmm.
that satisfaction, that is pretty important. As I said, a lot of this is a mental game, right? It's very easy to go at that altitude and less oxygen, and get really, chid machti hai, and get really frustrated and all of that.
Right.
So it's a lot about controlling those levers as well. So yeah.
So thank you, Dhaval. Thank you so much for this really informative, interesting session. I'm
Hmm.
sure that our audience has a lot to take from this conversation we've just had. Whoever's interested in mountaineering will actually get a lot of tips and a lot of um, caveats from this discussion. Um,
Yes.
Now, before we sign off for the off of this conversation, I would like to request everyone who's watching to please subscribe to Mast Qalandar Travels. In this channel, I post videos where I am traveling, as well as I run live sessions once a week with travelers who have some kind of special experience, like Dhaval here. I would also request you all to follow Dhawal Nayak 88 on Instagram. It's a new channel. I'm encouraging him to get on Instagram and put his beautiful pictures out there, and just
Yeah.
for his friends to watch. So yeah.
Yeah,
um
I'm not very good at social media, and I think I have a leaf to take out of your book.
I'm
So
very
yeah.
happy that I could bring him here and expose his this amazing side to the rest of the world. So thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Dhaval. Big thanks for your time and for all the information that you shared with us. Really means a lot. All right, thank you to the audience for watching this. Goodbye,
Thanks
goodbye,
for having
everyone.
me. Goodbye.
Bye bye, bye bye.